All right. Hi, class. I noticed there was still some confusion on the different major assignments for this class, and I really want to help relieve some of your stress. And so I decided I'd make some videos and just break down each assignment. So if anyone is still confused, then you have this as a resource for you. Of course, you can always email me too, and I'm happy to help you. But hopefully this clears things up and you guys aren't as stressed about what's going on in this class, because you really don't need to be. So for this video, I'm just going to talk about the multidisciplinary web, and that's it. So for the multidisciplinary web, we've talked about this in class. Remember, multidisciplinary integration is where you integrate all of the, well, not all, but you integrate different content areas into a common theme. So that's what we are working on. This is just stuff that you're doing. You're preparing for it outside of class, you're sharing it in class, and you're posting it on Digital Dialogue. It's not like an assignment you're going to turn in. We do check Digital Dialogue to make sure you're sharing your ideas and you're participating, and it counts for participation points, but otherwise it's not graded. So do it, but don't stress out about it. This is just a time for you to practice and gather ideas, to think about how you could do multidisciplinary integration, and to get feedback from your peers about your ideas. So no stress. So like I said, you're going to complete this by preparing things beforehand, sharing them in class in breakout rooms, and then posting your ideas on Digital Dialogue. Those areas that we are for sure doing are social studies, which we have our book share coming up. I'll talk about that in a minute. Math shares and science shares. I'll have to check and see with Karina. You might be posting things on this HPE. I'm pretty sure that's health and physical education and technology on Digital Dialogue, but I'm not totally sure yet. So don't worry about those yet, and I'll send out an email if that is something we're doing too. And of course, we'll talk about it in class. And then you're also going to be posting what we've done for this under a multidisciplinary web on Digital Dialogue. But don't worry, I'm going to break this even further down for you. So you should not be confused by the end of this. All right, so we have our social studies shares coming up. We're going to be sharing it in breakout rooms on Tuesday, February 16th, because Monday we don't have school, and Tuesday is Monday instruction. So you're going to try and plan for about 7 to 10 minutes each on sharing your ideas from what you've done for this. And I know that sounds like a lot of time. You should have a decent amount of ideas, and you can also just use the last bit of time. If there's extra time, just ask your peers for feedback or other ideas they may have that you could use for integrating with your theme. So don't worry about that. So what you're going to do is you're going to find a book that connects to both social studies and the theme you chose for a multidisciplinary unit. Then you're going to present a brief summary of the book, like show it in some way. So maybe you're going to read a couple pages from it. Maybe you'll just show the pictures and kind of summarize it, whatever you want to do for that. Then you're going to list 3 to 4 learning activities linked to course standards that you could do with this book. And these activities should focus on 1 to 2 social emotional skills. And then you should also try and connect it to a different content area in addition to social studies. You're also going to have a description of these activities and talk about just how you know these are age appropriate based on child development, teaching strategies, or developmentally appropriate principles. And then you should be sure to include, again, those learning activities that are in 2 content areas. So maybe for social studies, you're going to teach a social studies standard and a literacy standard. Or you could do math, or you could do physical education, any of those, but just try and connect it to 2 to really get that integration in. This is all on Learning Suite. I just copied and pasted this over, so you can follow this link and see some examples. I've also posted some examples on Learning Suite. Just go to content and it should say like student examples, and then it'll be listed as social studies shares. So that's all available to you. Here's an example. This is one I pulled that I still have linked on Learning Suite from a previous student. Not everything about this is perfect, but it kind of gives you an idea that it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to make it look fancy. Just be able make it so that if someone reads it, they understand what activities you're talking about and how you have it planned. So for this one, she talks about she's going to read the book Chrysanthemum and focus on standards describing and comparing characteristics of yourself and others. She doesn't link it to her theme in this one, and so make sure that you include like that's your theme and how that connects as well. And then she breaks down what she would do for an activity. So before reading the book, she'd introduce words same and different to students and talk about what that means, and then invite students to look for things that are the same and different as she reads the book. After reading the book, she'd ask the students to explain what it means to be different, talk about the idea that differences aren't bad, but they make us unique, and then talk about the things that made the main character different or unique. And then after that, they're going to do, after the read aloud and discussion, she lists 3 activities that you could do. So you can have a class survey and talk about similarities and differences and maybe graph it. So I guess that's how you can do some science standards. She doesn't link the standards, so maybe try and just link the standards so it's really clear for teachers too to know, oh, okay, this is what it's doing. And then she says you could do an About Me book, talking about like what makes you unique, or then have students work in groups of 4 to 5 and have them identify something that's the same about them, something that's different about each person, remind them to be respectful. So those are some ideas. That's what she shared on Learning Suite. She's just missing a couple things, but as you can see, it doesn't have to be fancy or perfect. Just get your ideas down and make it easy for us to all be able to see kind of what standards you're using, how it links to your theme, and just how you would use these activities. So no big deal. So what's going to happen in class with your social studies share is you're going to present your idea, about 7 to 10 minutes each, again, in breakout rooms. You're going to listen to your peers' ideas and provide feedback. Then you're going to post it on Digital Dialogue under Social Studies. So that's just basically you can copy and paste whatever you prepared for class and stick it under Social Studies. No big deal. And then you're going to save this resource because you're going to put all of your ideas from all of the different subjects together in a multidisciplinary web document that you'll share on Digital Dialogue as well, and I'll go over that at the end as well. So then our next one that we would be doing is the math shares, which we would be doing on Wednesday, February 17th. So for this one, just make sure your lesson idea is linked to your theme. You have materials or a way to show or kind of demonstrate to your peers what you would be doing, link it to your math standard, and then be able to explain how developmentally appropriate practices connects with what you're doing and how you're teaching. So here's an example. This is actually what I did for mine. Mine is probably more extensive than you need to do, but I kind of got excited about my activity, so I put a lot into it. So don't freak out when you see like a 3-page document, because you don't have to do this. So I linked my standards. My theme was the ocean, and I decided to do a measuring standard. And so students could measure things around the classroom, and then we were going to talk about measurements of different ocean animals. And so I have on here different animals and pictures of it and their measurements, and then I have where students can go outside on the playground, and with chalk they can draw out the length of some of the larger animals to kind of help them like solidify that kind of more abstract size. And then you could have students use addition and subtraction to determine how much longer one animal would be from another, and vice versa. So that was my idea, and I just put this document on Digital Dialogue. So what's going to happen, same as the social studies one, you'll present your idea, you'll listen to your peers' ideas and provide feedback. You're going to post it on Digital Dialogue under Math, and then save your resource to another document for your multidisciplinary web. Same thing for science. You're going through the exact same steps as you were for your math one. That's going to be on Wednesday the 24th. Here's an example of one someone did. So she's linked the standard. She explains that they're going to carry out an investigation classifying different kinds of materials based on patterns and observable properties, and then work in a group to kind of identify them And so she's listed out the activity and the idea, so it's really easy for everyone to see. Make sure you just talk about developmentally appropriate practices and link it to your theme as well. And then exact same thing is going to happen with your science ones. So your final multidisciplinary web, after we've done all of the different subjects and we've put them on digital dialogue, you're going to organize your different shares you've done on one document. So you're going to put your science shares, your social studies shares, your math shares, all in one document with your theme to show how you've been able to connect them all with this theme. You can do this in different ways. So this was from the PowerPoint we talked about in class last Wednesday. So maybe you're going to list it and just say for social studies, we're going to, like, here's our theme, social studies, this is the activities that I thought of. And then for math, these are the activities I thought of. Science, this is the activity I thought of, things like that. Or you could try and put it in this kind of web format over here. It's kind of up to you how you want to organize it, but just put them all together. So if someone was like, hey, how do you do a theme on like our kindergarten class? You can be like, here are different ways you could integrate it with the different subjects. So that's it. You'll post under digital dialogue under the multidisciplinary web. And that's all. So no stress. If you guys have any other questions about it still, go ahead and send me an email. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. If there's anything else I can do to clear things up, please let me know. Good luck.